Why, hello, my name is Dava, and welcome to City Skylines 2. Today, we'll be talking about different mods to help your game look better, feel better, and just really change the way you play the game. Those mods can be from the beginner mods to more specific mods that I really do use often. And I just wanted to give you a little showcase of if it's your first time modding or second or third time. These mods will really help change the way you play the game and your perspective of how you see the game as well. So, with that being said, let's get into the game. Now, before we begin, I do want to give you a little brief summary of how I play this game. I play it for more of a first-person perspective, meaning that I like to be on the ground view a lot, see different things from, like this angle that right now that we're seeing through this train, to looking at different details from just a little bit above your city, but not too far away, but also having everything to have a nice view from a distance. So playing with fog, playing with different lights, different coloring, different themes as well. So we will be discussing those kind of mods. And starting with this mod that we're doing right now, this is the first person camera continued mod, allowing you to go in the first person of anything from people to cars to literal buildings, which I wouldn't know why you want to do that, but you can with this mod. It really does allow you to see everything in the real distance compared to looking at everything from above. And again, with this mod comes another mod. You see how the train is at the station and it left, I wouldn't say almost immediately, but basically immediately. This mod is called All Aboard. This mod by Ethnic Boyfriend, great name. It allows you to basically, or allows vehicles and trains, buses, every vehicle that's a transit vehicle, to really stop at a station for a select few in-game minutes and leave, and force it to leave at that time. In vanilla, this behavior can change, where trains can sit there for a really long time if really backed up, or if there's too many people coming into the train and they're still loading onto the train. This mod allows you to literally break that. It'll cut everything off and just say, we're departing right now. It's a really handy mod for if your cities are too big and they have a lot of people in them, and the trains get backed up a lot, or get stuck. So I would recommend that mod highly. And one more mod, also while we're in this first person perspective, that really helps is Advanced Simulation Speed by Zakuro. This mod, it really gets a feeling, before that, you see how the people are running to the train because the timer is almost up on this train to leave the station by force. A little sidetrack there. But this mod, Advanced Simulation Speed, allows everything to, if you play on one-time speed, I find that speed to be a little bit too fast. I play on half speed, so everything feels more realistic. The train starts up, ramps up, accelerates at a very reasonable speed compared to one-time speed. Everything just feels more natural at that pace. And that's why I really recommend those three mods if you're playing in a first-person perspective mode. So Advanced Simulation, Speed, All Aboard, and first person camera continued. I would highly recommend those mods. Now let's get out of this view here. Now that we're zoomed out the train, let's toggle into the more mods that we use for realism and gameplay. So the first mod I want to talk about is the traffic mod. Traffic allows you to toggle lanes within your roads here. So let's go to a spot where I have a feeling that things will be a little bit messed up and we have to manually makeshift the roads ourselves. Actually, I know the perfect spot. Right over here where we have our little safe area. So here, I built this road designated for 3 lanes to go into here and 2 lanes to go into here and 3 lanes go straight and 3 lanes go straight. Now this is with my toggles on. So lane connector tool here allows you to control the lanes and control where the cars will go, basically. And vanilla, the way vanilla does it, it's kind of bad, in a very bad way, I should say. So it'll treat all of these lanes like they belong to go, well, they want to go somewhere else. So let's reset it to vanilla here real quick. You see the lane connector tool on the bottom down here. So we're gonna reset to vanilla. And you see how it just altered every road. This is what we do not want. It allows roads to, or cars to go in areas where I don't want them to go. So you see how cars go from here to here, which is never a thing that I want them to do. I want them to stay all the way up and maintain their own distance. And you see how there's dashed lines This is unsafe turning here. So cars can, and they will do this. They say that it's rare. It's not rare. It's not a common occurrence, but it's a shortcut. Cars will take an unsafe road here, or an unsafe turn, and just do it. They will really just do whatever they want to do here. But I always tend to turn them off, just remove unsafe, and just force them to go wherever I want them to. So I tend to just remove all of these lane markings and make them myself. That way you know where cars are going because you built them, and you intend for them to go somewhere in this direction. So you don't want them to cut across this 3 lane here to go across this 3 lane, because again, the traffic lights aren't split. They can't be split because they're all one road. And we're going to get into traffic lights right now. Actually, this is a traffic light mod right here. I could never say, not that I can't say their name correctly. C2 VMTLE, I just kind of say like that. And the last mod was made by also somebody's name I can never say correctly, but we'll leave it at that. This mod here allows you to toggle the traffic light variation and their types. Let's go to a more jam-packed road here, just so we can see how this actually works. Let's go actually down here. So in this location, we will see that there are a few different variations of road. We didn't do any lane connector tool here, so we could do that here. Well, you know, let's do that now, so we get a good sense of what to do here. And our settings might actually change by doing this. We want 1 lane to turn, or the left lane to turn, and 1 lane to go straight, and vice versa. Let's see. Once we go to here, we do see more options. So once you make a single lane left turn here, we will see the option for protected left turns. What this mod does is it changes the behavior from default or vanilla gameplay to something more advanced. You could do split lanes where only 1 lane will go at a time, so they'll all take turns going at once. That way you wouldn't have to see cars getting stuck behind each other, or, you know, getting stuck in the intersection and blocking the box. Advanced splitting, which means the traffic lights will take their time to turn, or take turns turning, but they'll be smart about it. And let's say you have left lanes turning over here, they will allow for right lanes to turn here if you have the lane connector tool toggled to only turn right. It can do that with the advanced splitting. And we did protect left turns, but we could also allow for pedestrians to have their own phase, meaning that pedestrians will not cross the street until their turn has changed. However, pedestrians, like cars, can do unsafe things and cross the street when they're not allowed to. That does apply for realism, but it's a bit too unsafe for me. There is one mod that can toggle that off. However, it does take away the realism, but that mod is called Pedestrian Pathfinding, that I'll have on screen right here. It's by the Sunny X. This mod prevents people from walking in areas where they shouldn't, really. Walking across streets that are red, walking across train tracks, even though they can still do it, but it's a lot harder for them to do it. So things like that. It's a very handy mod, I will say, and one of my favorites to have in the city, because the pedestrian walking across the street does kind of bother me sometimes whenever I don't want them to do that, because they do cause traffic doing that, and it's kind of really annoying. Like over here, for example, we do see, I did set up a pedestrian phase only, so you see all the walk signs change to, all the signs change to walk. All the lights are red right now. Nobody is allowed to cross the street. Let's speed it up here. And you can set a timer, not a real timer, just a ×3 to ×10 variation here. It's not, I don't really know what time that's based off of, but you can do that. So yes, people will not cross the street anymore whenever they're, you know, areas like this when the light's green. It's a handy mod. The next one for realism is a mod called Realistic Trips. Realistic Trips is a mod that really allows for time changes in the game. A really good shift in rush hour traffic. This game does naturally have rush hour traffic, but Realistic Trips takes it up to a notch. It'll give them rush hour, time to eat food, a time where people have to go to school, everything. It'll take into account of, let's go into the settings here and we will see it for Realistic Trips here. It'll set your performance to what that city simulates as. So I have mine set to United States of America. You can set their work shifts. You can set them to work the day to night, or the complete night shift or afternoon shifts. When they get off of work, when they leave work. when they can go shopping. You can also set how many people or how many people per day can go there, or everything really. I will have to go back in here and toggle this on just to see what this is like, as well as when they go to school. You can set their start time, the end time to college and everything. So when they go to school, what day they attend, what days they can miss. You can force them to always attend school to set it to 100%. What they do over the week, if you want 7 days or vanilla, or however. Actually, that's a really good thing to do here. You could always set this to a weekday, so you always get rush hour every day, because on Saturday and Sundays you tend to get no traffic, which is realistic, but for a game wise it makes the game feel a little bit empty. So you can't force it to always be a weekday and never have Saturday or Sunday. You could have little tourists come in as well, have realistic truck traffic, have the night shifts go on through with all the services and vehicles. And the one thing that this game or this mod does is special events, meaning you will get special things happening within the city. Now, I believe that this is bugged. I believe the modder is working on fixing this right now. But with special events, it's similar to Cities 1, how there was a mod similar, I think it was just called Special Events, where a specific building, usually one of these tourist buildings or signature buildings, will host an event. And traffic will accumulate towards that building, so you need to hope you have parking or metro or some kind of transit to get to that area, or else it'll be overpopulated and traffic will congest in that city. This mod really does take everything up to a notch when it comes to that. And one of my favorites, I will say, keep in mind, most mods will break during an update, and Realistic Trips is one of those mods that will crash your game when an update does happen. So keep that in mind. It is safe to uninstall as well. Alongside all of these mods, they're all safe to uninstall. You don't have to worry about, your game crashing afterwards too. But yeah, those mods really do help the game just feel better, run smoother. Realistic Trips will and can cause simulation errors, or not simulation errors, but your simulation to slow down. Keep that in mind. I have one mod to mitigate that, and it is a mod called No Dogs. No Dogs by Noel or Noel. Basically, the mod just removes dogs from the game. Dogs are, like people, are a simulation agent, which will lag the game. When you have no dogs present, no dogs are present, which means you have a higher simulation, basically. So that is a handy mod in case your computer is struggling, especially if you have too many dogs in your city. You can get that mod just to, help mitigate that feeling of simulation speed going down or dipping below what it should be. Also, I failed to mention, this mod here is advanced simulation speed. You can see it on the bottom toggle here. This is how you switch it. You can go from 0.5 to slow everything down to 0.25 to 0.125. I don't know why you do that, but see things in slow motion. All the way up to 0.8, if you were so pleased. But my computer can barely run up to 0.8. I keep everything at 0.5, and 0.5 just makes the simulation feel smoother all the time. It just makes everything feel nicer. So again, that's advanced simulation speed. Let's continue. The next assortment of mods that we'll talk about here are mods that help with the way the game looks, the detailings of the look. So the first mod we're going to talk about, it's a simple one. It's one of my favorite mods that I would always use. It is the Time and Weather Anarchy by Rogermax. Or, I'm so sorry I said that wrong. But Roger Matrix. This mod here, you can set profiles of times of days that you want within your city to always shine at. So right now I have a custom set. It is 10 o'clock. You can always set the slider to a different time zone if you want to, just to make the days look different. Like over here, this is a nice timing of day. The lighting is all right. If you always want the warm color fall, which I have set up right here, you can always change the weather option. So it could be something like summer, where everything changes. It could be raining. You can also make custom temperatures, custom precipitations, custom auroras as well in the night sky, if you ever so wanted to, which I can show you right here. A little aurora just shine above to make the nighttime just a little bit brighter, so you can see just a little bit better. Things like that. Just be warned that when you pause the game and you toggle the slider, especially the time of day slider, you will get flashbanged. Mind your eyes in 3, 2, 1. You will get flashed. It does blind you a bit, but just a little thing to know. But this game, or this mod here, relatively one of my favorites. You can set the times of day, set your own little presets. So by here, I set there's the default one, so vanilla. This is the vanilla time zone right now, but I like to leave it at my own just so I can always know what time it is. There we go. On my mains, here's my default. That's vanilla. And here's my main one. And this is a custom one that I have set up before. So yeah, this mod, always recommend getting. Just for toggling things like this. The next mod, Map Texture Replacer by C Game World. This mod here, it's relatively simple. You install it, and let me get relationships up there. You install it, and you can find a specific theme that you want. I'm using Vivid Cities 4K map theme that you can also find on the workshop. Once you toggle it, you can just place a theme, and your game will look completely different from your grass tilings to, let me actually show you an example here. Let's go to default. This is what base game looks like. It looks relatively, it's all right, but I prefer something, with a bit more texture. Let's say if you want the Alpine theme, it'll load up, it'll load in, just give it some time, and that's very smooth. You could change the tilling of the grass if you wanted to, but however, you don't see any grass tilling. But you could also mix and match. You could also put the Vivid 4K cities inside the Alpine theme and just have a different look in general. Like say if you like the white rocks that the Alpine theme gives you, you can keep it. Or set it back to 4K Vivid if you ever so wanted to. You can really mix and match. This is a really fun mod to have. Just find enough themes and you'll work your way around what you like with this one. Let me set that back to 4K map themes and set the grass to be a little bit more of a smaller till here. And that's it. That's all the mod really includes. And I relatively enjoy that mod a lot. It does reset sometimes. If your settings reset, this mod will reset, so keep that in mind. Most of your mods will reset, but this one will reset in-game, so again, keep that in mind. The next mod, I get asked about this pretty often. This is Road Wear Adjuster by HX2003. This mod is, you'll be finding it in your settings. So Road Wear Adjuster. This changes the texture of the road to, from that white vanilla feeling that you had to, let me reset the default real quick. From this style of your roads to the white little traces to something more, I find to be more realistic and making it darker because the car's passing it often. So taking the brightness to 0, making the opacity really high and the smoothness down to 0, you get this nice darker color, like you see little tires kind of walking across the road. This mod really does help enhance the feel of this game, especially the roads. And yeah, it's just a much nicer road to look at compared to vanilla. You can remove it completely if you ever so wanted to. If you do have dev mode, you can entirely remove this through the game rendering option and turn off the loading of the roads entirely. But through dev mode, I'd rather not toggle through things through dev mode because they do reset once you load the game again, and it gets kind of annoying just to replace them all over and over. But that's Road Wear Remover, a little fan favorite of me. Moving on to the second to last mod I'm going to talk about here, a mod called Asset Variation Changer. Now, this mod allows you to change the color of buildings before you place them, and props, I will say, before you place them too. So let's grab a prop here. Let's go back and get a train that we had placed before. So in taking a train, we can change the color by selecting the keybind that you have selected. So before that, let's go into the keybind settings of the mod here. So Asset Variation Changer. I have mine set to minus and plus, my number pad, so just make it a little bit easier. Yours may be different, but when grabbing that vehicle, you can change the color of how it looks and just have fun with it, really. Make it like a little garbage train, a little, well, any train, really. Do what you can with any prop that can change color, I should say. Not all things can change colors, but from seatings to chairs to tables, they can all change color. Keep in mind that if you are using net lanes and fences, they won't change color when you click it. They will only change color while you move. So keep moving as you change color. That's just a little tip that I have for you here. Because I'm changing colors right now, and it's not changing until I move my hand. So keep that in mind. But yes, that is a very handy mod for just if you want to place different colored trains down, like so. Green train, gray trains, all these different color things. All the buildings as well, you can place down different colors. If you really want a specific theme of colors, you can lock the colors in. So that way when you prop them or place them, they don't keep alternating colors. They will stick as one color naturally, which is a really great thing to do. That's what this mod also does. So keep that in mind. Do with that info as you will. And yes, let's move on to the last subject of mods here. I want to talk about surfaces. Now, these mods here that you see listed up, I know I said last mod, but it's a last group of mods, made by Triton. Triton Supreme has a whole list of mods here that I will show up. These mods are incredibly handy, and well, they're incredibly handy at what they're doing. So they allow you just to really place surfaces, like what I placed before the fence. Place surfaces, place different types of grass, different tilings of floor. You will find an assortment of these in the workshop as well, if you ever so wanted to. I recommend, or I always recommend Sully. If you go in the Paradox workshop and type in Sully, Sully has some great surfaces that you can use, some different sand surfaces, little ground surfaces, all these little things. Mulch, you can make like a nice little garden as well, some agriculture spaces, even the ore spaces that I use often in the train areas. These surfaces come in really handy, like a lot. So that one is also a very special mention. Going next to decals, you can place down on the floor as well, some little smudges. Again, I recommend Sully's again. Make some great ones. G87 also make some great little smudges and surfaces, so placing these down too. As well as net lanes. Net lanes really do make an area more, I wouldn't say vibrant, but private. Make little private areas, private fences, keep places off of where, well, people where they shouldn't be. Not saying that they would go there, but let's go for an example. Let's go over here where I built this train pier. We put a fence here, and it's an industrial fence, and it means it's barbed. So you don't want people to cross over here, but it gives you the feeling of some people crossing over, not that they're actually doing it, but it's the thought that counts when building these things, you know? So do things like this, keep surfaces, like again, this is another surface underneath this entire train yard here. Things like that, they really do make the game more vibrant. As well as one more mod that I want to talk about here, and that's extra networks and areas. Now, the extra networks, it gives you different pathways that are invisible, that you can place down. Cars will drive on it, but again, you can't really see it. It is invisible, obviously. But different pathways, cars can drive down, pedestrians walk down. I find this one to be the most important when building, because I build a lot of customs train stations, meaning people will take the train, as you saw here. People will walk into these little doorways that I place here. However, there's no path because it is invisible. You can see the little dashed line down here. So in taking invisible paths and leading them up to the station, it seems like they're taking the train through, you know, walking underneath the doors, but they're really not. There's an invisible path behind here. So this mod here is relatively perfect for that. But not only that, it comes with areas and spaces. So you can build park areas where people will just chill around and just walk around, little hangout areas. People just walk around, walking area, and a gym area. I have an example of this in the city further up on the other side in this area here, where you'll see people walking around. Normally they're not allowed to walk outside the path bounds, but with this area mod, they really can. And it just really makes the park more lively when driving around in the city and looking around. You just see people walking around the parks areas and looking real nice. You see people do things that I've never seen them do before. This is the outdoor gym, so I've never really seen them exercise. People have a lot of animations in this game that I've really never seen. Really interesting. But yeah, the park areas. They can walk around, do little activities, you know? It's quite nice when you build little things like this and people walk around it. Again, you could use the invisible path and put a pathway through here, but it's fun just to make them walk around. And those are the mods for the, you know, make the game feel more lively. And lastly, there's one more mod that I have to talk about, and I feel like it's very underrated, and that mod is InfoLoom. Made by Brucey Boy, this mod really does show the info in your city. It's the name. You can see your demographics from when they age, in tandem of when they go to school, how old are they when they go to school, their workforces, do you need more employment, do you need more jobs. You can see here there's 1.1k unemployment and 4k working, which is a lot that's missing from work. My unemployment's bad, but you can really see it. The people that are educated, people that are well educated, it's things like that. In the workforce especially, you see that all the well-educated students are not employed. A lot of them are underemployed. And it really just showcases what you really need in your city. So I need more offices, more industry within here, good workplaces. You can see here, there's not many options for them to work. Hence why there's a lack of employment, because I need more buildings. So you can see here that it's kind of an issue. So this mod here is probably one of the most handy mods that you can ever have in your game. It really tells you like things like your industrial things, your products that you're making, that you're producing, that you're exporting, that you're demanding. It's a really crazy mod that you really need in your game. So that mod I would always recommend you getting. So with that being said, those were the mods that I mostly use. Ignore all the dead people. We're having a really bad death wave. I'm not sure what happened, but I've installed more crematoriums just so the process goes faster. I allowed for people to be imported, or things to be imported into the city. So you can see here it includes the death care services. So we have that too, but it can't keep up. The demand is too high. But yes, those are the mods that I use within the city, just to make my game look and feel better. I hope this helps you in anything that you're going through. If you're having a bad simulation, or if you want more people to go through your city, or make everything feel more lively within your city, I hope that helps. I didn't talk about the more important mods like move it or find it, because those are so much of a necessity. I don't really feel I should have to talk about it. Unless you want me to, I can in the future. But yes, those are everything that I really wanted to emphasize within the city, because I'm asked a lot, or pretty often, about what mods that I would use for making my game look like this. I don't really have any mods to make my game look different. It's mostly just my graphical settings. And with that, I could actually escort you to a video that Canadian Moose made that can help you with your graphics, because he goes through it really in-depthly, and it was pretty nice. So yes, with that being said, thank you guys for joining me today. This wasn't a Daveport video. The next video will be a Daveport video, where we'll be most likely reconstructing the downtown area, just because I find it a little bit hard to build within here when the roads are being all crooked and everything, and the buildings aren't really lining up as well as I want them to. So we're gonna be re-renovating this entire place up here for the next time. So stay tuned. I will be back again. Take care, everybody. We'll be live on twitch.tv/Dava787, where we'll be playing City Skylines and other variety type games like The Sims or things like that. But take care. I will see you guys again.